funny because I didn't know what Roxy's were. Her and another person were talking about it in a restaurant. And I go, they were talking about Roxy's, and I was like, oh, Roxy's, yeah. I was thinking Roxbury, like Night at the Roxbury, And they were like, what do you think we're talking about? I'm like, yeah, my brother loves that movie, Night at the Roxbury. They started laughing. They're like, nah, man, we're talking about pills. And I'm like, I don't get why you guys do this. Like, why are you doing a drug that's making you vomit after every other word? How is this fun? You know what I mean?
That's the question I had with heroin.
I just don't.
That was the exact same question. You fucking take this thing, then you throw up. I mean, is that fun? And the heroin addict's answer is, yeah, it's the greatest feeling I know of.
They describe it.
They say yes.
Describe it as orgasm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've seen people use it in front of me, and I still can't get over it because I never in my lifetime ever wanted to do anything to where it made me sick and tired and nauseous. To me, that's just not a good thing. But I do, and that's why I was saying, like, the drugs that we were exposed to, Mal, Cold, myself, I'm using us as an example. The drugs we were exposed to and been around in our lifetime, they're doing this shit and trying to legalize it across nationally. You know what I mean?
It's incredible.
I just can't fathom the thought of a bunch of people across America having a responsibility to go to work and function in society. I've seen what I love cannabis, and people go crazy over it, and that's awesome. But they're going to go crazy over the other drugs if they get legalized too, and that's a problem. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
The average person is spending most of their checks on their medication. You know what I mean? That's a fact.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah.
That's a fact. And the only reason why it's not, and the only reason why they're not legalizing it across the board is because they know people like myself is just going to grow it. You could grow it anywhere. So they can't control it. And they don't want to legalize something they can control. But guess what they can control, guys? They can control narcotics. They can control pills. They can control drugs that require that type of dishing out, so to speak. And that's the reason why you're seeing such a push by the pharmaceutical companies for all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? They want everybody doped up. They want to be able to control what they're doping them up with, man. You know what I mean? And that's why I said earlier, I got to look at this from a politician's aspect. I just don't trust the masses with that kind of responsibility. I can't. I've been around myself, and I got to be honest, when I was high on shit, I wouldn't trust myself with being able to make some of the decisions I have to make right now as a parent. You know what I mean?
But Mike, isn't that funny, mate? Even when I would drink, right? When I walk my dog Tama, she has 2 leads. The reason for that is my dog Ozzy. I was walking him one day, and he had a choker on, and he just went boom and blew the choker out. So I walk her with 2 leads. Now, there's no real need to anymore. She's older. She's not pulling like a steam train, but I do that for the same reason. If I got really drunk, I wouldn't walk Tama. I'd say for the same reason I wouldn't drive. I'd say, I know I can't do this now. Other people don't have that governor. They get in the car and drive. I don't want to do anything to fuck up my day or hurt Tama. I don't want that. So I don't risk these things. It's funny to me that some people don't even have the thought. I know when I'm too drunk. See, you can't. I could smoke bongs till the end of time and get in a car and drive. It does nothing to me. But alcohol does.
Yes.
Alcohol will fuck me up. I will get to a point I can't drive. That's impossible with marijuana. I've been smoking marijuana long before I was driving. You can't get me so stoned that I can't drive. I mean, I hope you can. Good luck. But I've never seen it.
One thing with me is it's one, yes, naturally I enjoy it, but also because of the aspect of it, it could replace. For instance, I was on over 12 medications. I'm down to 3: a blood pressure pill and ADHD pill, and that's due to cannabis use and just working out. I am a product of being a ward of the state at a young age. Like I told you earlier, they gave me Ritalin at the age of 5. You know what I mean? My parents signed a waiver to where, like, experimental different drugs or whatever, they would have to sign it too. So you gotta understand, for me, I'm looking at this whenever I had doctors tell me, You use enough of methamphetamine when they did tests on me to drop a 340 something pound man, and you're weighing 181 pounds at the time. And I'm fully able to function. Granted, I was high as fuck. I mean, what I mean functioning is I was working as a dishwasher and still doing my own thing. But
Yep.
the reason for that is the pharmaceutical companies pushing all the drugs that I was on throughout
Yep.
my life. If I was never exposed to all those pharmaceutical drugs, I would be able to
Of
enjoy
course.
that buzz the way everybody else was. But for me, when everybody was using meth around me, and and they would go off and do their little talks or draw or whatever the fuck they would do, I would be in a room like this, perfectly quiet, scheming, just thinking about how I could pull some licks. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And it had a different effect on me because of the fact they were giving it to me at such a young age. Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Of course. Your brain's still forming, sir, and they're putting
So
what in it?
let's look at some.
It's
Let's look at this
incredible.
real quick. Take the videos you see of the kids that are 4 years old that are suffering from seizures, and their parents give them RSO oil, right? And the
Yep.
RSO oil calms them down.
Yep.
That right there shows the potential that I'm talking about. If we're talking from a politician's standpoint, it shows the potential to replace some very bad drugs. Most of these narcotics,
Yes.
I was taking medications to combat the side effects that were caused by the other medications that have been replaced
Of
by.
course.
So these are aspects that need to be talked about that you're not going to be able to talk about because they haven't figured out a way to control the market. Like cold, real quick, cold. You live in Tennessee. Cold knows they've been voting to get legalized there, like my state has, for years. You know what I mean? They're close to it. Cold has no faith it's going to pass. I keep telling them it might pass because I got family there in Clarksville that are telling me different. But hey, who knows? But my point is, the reason why they're not trying to pass it fully is the ground in Tennessee is fertile as shit. You can grow some amazing shit in Tennessee. I'm talking amazingly well. They
Yep.
want, like I told you before, Cold, I highly suggest you go back and rewind this episode because of the stuff we were talking about. Like I told you before, when you're looking at the people that's buying up the different property and the reasons why they're buying up the different property in the land, right? It's simultaneously all connected. Do you get what I'm saying? And yeah, you
Yep.
might suffer a brain aneurysm whenever you're trying to look at it all. But
Yep.
it's all connected. Wealthy people don't get together and decide to do purchases like this just because they're just doing a pissing contest. They do that with food.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like in cars and shit. Like I worked for one of my chefs and me, the chef I worked under, we were watching a video about a high-end steakhouse in New York, and it has a thing that's called the Secret Billionaires menu. And on that menu is a milkshake that goes for $352. That milkshake has edible gold in it, is the reason why. See,
Edible gold.
right.
Why do we want to eat gold?
Why are they smoking it? Why did that rapper I can't even fucking remember his name because I don't like most of the new rappers as much as I like rap music. But there's some rapper, I think, Kodak Black. Just
I've
recently
heard that name.
a
Yeah.
stack of money. Here's a guy that's representing BLM a lot. Took a big stack of money, huge stack, right? And just tosses it off of his yacht, right? Why do they do that? Because they got power and they can. That's the reason why. But yet he wants to talk about caring about all these urban people. What about that money that you just threw out? I'm pretty sure they could use that fucking 52 fucking
There
grand
you go, mate.
fucking ocean.
So, Mike, I'd say to you, anyone looking at that person, throw their money away, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is an idiot. You're trying to impress people. Look how much money I've got. It doesn't matter. I don't care. And the very people you're trying to impress could use that. And yet they're impressed that you throw it away. This is so retarded. I
It
mean,
is.
it's fucking
It's
crazy.
immature behavior. When we're kids and we're trying to impress pussy, that's what we would do with men at a fucking club. Oh yeah, well I bought her something better. It's a pissing contest, is what it is. But don't tell me that you
Yes.
care about these
Yep.
fucking people while you're having it. You know what I mean? I'm
Of
like,
course.
this is a simplicity. this is a simplicity and frustration of it all that we've been talking about off and on over the past 2 hours.
Yep.
Is when I say it's all connected, you got to look at how rich people treat shit. If they're willing to drink away $352, but the same person that's doing that, right, is getting on camera 20 minutes later talking about we must defund the police because that same person I'm talking about that's the fond of that restaurant is AOC. You know what I mean? So
Unbelievable. What a
how
world.
is it
I mean,
that
what a world.
people are just blind to it, and they're not just blind here in America. I keep saying it; they're blind to it across the globe because these are rich people. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, it wasn't until I worked at Price Tower, which is like the who's who of this town. If they
Yep.
say that if anything happens in this town, uh, Phillips Oil and Price Tower is involved. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
when I started going to catering events at these rich people's houses, I started realizing that some of these stand-up comedians we've been watching, they're telling the truth. Rich people don't get together and make deals the way they do, the way we think. You know what I mean? They're making deals for themselves. They don't give a fuck about anybody else. They're willing to piss around $252, but yet want to tell you how much they care about you, Mal. You know what I mean?
Sorry, mate. Dana. Hello, Dana. Can you type something, mate? I just want to see you've got your wrench back, is all. You should have had one in the first place. It could be someone imitating you, but I'll work it out later. I think it's
You
you.
see
So,
that?
yeah,
You see correlation to what I was saying there? Like these people are trying to
absolutely.
feel like they're trying to make us across the globe feel like they care about all these people, right? When the fuck have
Yeah,
they ever cared about anybody but themselves? You know what I mean?
yeah, well, really,
I mean,
a very
honestly, at
good
the end
question.
of the day, that's the reality. The only thing they're doing is trying to figure out how to get richer. Right now, they're ruining the world's economy. There's no doubt about that. They're printing out money in my country left and right to the point to where our dollar isn't going to be more than 50 cents. Okay,
Uh,
I'm
uh, uh,
estimating right now, unless there's a huge turnover politically in my country, our dollar in the next 2 years is going to basically be worth around 75 cents. You know what I mean? Which means I don't give a fuck how much money they're sending you in the mail, whether it be $1,000 or $2,000. That $1,000 at the dollar value is only going to be around 75 cents. That $1,000 ain't much of shit.
yeah,
It ain't much of anything, anyways. It's kind of like giving somebody
yeah,
an IOU promissory note. And most of the money that's been dishing out, people are going to have to pay back in their taxes, anyways. So it's not like it's free money, anyways. And right now, like I told you, if you guys go back and listen to what me and Mal have been talking about an hour ago, when I was breaking down how the IRS's secret bill they're trying to pass on social media people, you're going to start seeing some pissed off people when if that thing gets signed because they're going to be like I told you, they're going to wait around until these people like it's going to be like all of a sudden like Dana gets a letter in the mail and says, "Oh, you've had an online business, so now you owe $2,552 to back pay taxes." You know what I mean? Because they're
yep,
passing these bills or they're sending off these bills to get signed. I can't say passing. But
yeah.
they're
No,
all
they're trying to. Yeah,
to get signed, and they're not talking about it on the news. They're like talking about it for about 5 seconds, and then they're giving you about 15 minutes of chaos because they
yeah,
know the average human mind. We're not talking about regular people. We're talking about the average human mind. If they do that, they've done forgot about that little bill that's passed, and they're moving on to how pissed off
yeah.
they are at this jackass they just saw. You
That's
know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you're right. That's so right. In the last 18 months during this COVID, I've been waiting for decades. Well, we've had France and England and Australia. All the people, governments have come forth and said what they know about unidentified flying objects. We've had our pilots see this. Well, in the last 18 months, now you have American pilots
Mm-hmm.
coming forth, fighter pilots, and they've said, here's the video of us tracking this thing, and it gets no attention, Mike.
Well,
Meanwhile, every other nonsensical bullshit thing in the world gets lots of attention. So you can literally have people, intelligent men that fly fighter planes, saying, hey, we're tracking this thing. Here's
mhm.
the video of it. We don't know what it is. It doesn't even capture anyone's attention. They're more interested in Kim Kardashian.
Right.
I mean,
That's,
they legitimately are.
that's
They
true.
all know who Kim Kardashian is.
I
They
got
don't know this stuff.
Hey Dana,
Sorry, mate.
I no, you're right. I just seen Dana say something. Weed legalization is inedible in the U.S. because they know that if they don't do it, they know if they don't do it. Well, People are just going to do it. So they're trying to figure out that way to make the money, and that's from what I've been reading on Bloomberg and what I've been reading on a lot of the financial news sites. Is they're basically trying to figure out a way to make their money back at it. Do you get what I'm saying? And once they figure out that way, and most likely what it's going to be, because I know that people in the industry here I've talked to are really upset at the wording and some of the new bills that they're looking at, because basically what they're wanting to do, and I told them you shouldn't be surprised because I mentioned it a couple months back when you were reading Kamala's and Biden's weed legalization policy bill. What people aren't realizing is there's a cap in the middle section of that bill. And that cap of that section of that middle of the bill says that states can run their own medical cannabis program. However, they want full government control regulating the percentage of the toxicity of the bud. And the most that they're willing to do, allow people to grow statewide, that the government will allow at this point in that bill, said 23% THC total cannabinoids. Now, understand what cannabinoids is. So if I take this right here that I'm planning on smoking here in a little bit, this blunt, right, is a pre-made blunt that I was talking to you about last night. Me and Jessica were talking to you about.
Yep.
It says total cannabinoids is 18.92 on this one, right? The total THC is 16.12, CBD is 0.5, and the total terps is 1.63. Now, the government's regulated program will take all of that down to like a low percentage of, I forgot the one I just told you, but around 40, 25, something like that percent. So ultimately what's going to happen is they're going to completely saturate and control the grow market. And basically they're going to utilize technology that they already have on hand, and they're going to prosecute commercial growers or privatized growers. They're going to, not commercial, privatized growers. Privatized growers means 78 cloud. Cloud means cold. It means myself. What I showed you last night, my little plan I showed you. It means us. It means they're going to storm down our fucking door like that girl in Australia that we were talking about a while back. You know what I mean? And they're going to take away our plants and charge us with whatever felony. That's how.
Well, it'll be tax evasion for one thing, because you're growing something. You'll have a tax. That's the whole issue. You
Right.
tax. You can grow something that we can't fucking regulate. We can't get our bit when you sell it. That's
Right.
the issue.
But they're gonna word it like it's such a good thing. We're gonna legalize cannabis.
Woo!
Ooh.
Oh,
But
wait,
don't pay
hold on.
attention to all those little fine words that we put into the bill. See, that's the thing that people don't get. I love it because Mike Savage is so right. He's so hated, but he's so right. If you look at the fine words in the bill, the secret is to look at the wording. And normally it's around the third to last paragraphs in the bill. It starts getting real tricky with how they word it. Because, like I said, it sounded good on paper that they're going to, yeah, Biden and Harris for the win. They're going to legalize cannabis. Well, what you're not seeing is they're going to control the percentage ratio of all the cannabis in America. You know what I mean? Do you really want Uncle Sam growing all your pot?
Fuck no.
You know what I mean?
Fuck
And
no,
you want
Mike.
them
And
to
that's,
do what you can and can't do with your own crops? Because I got
you've
news for
probably
you.
heard.
These Green Deal is a lot worse than people think. Because part of that
Yeah.
bill in the Green Deal means that they're going to take over everybody's farms and turn them into government farms. So the government will own, like you can own your house, but they're going to own your agriculture section of your land. More than likely, they're going to reword it to own all your land. You know what I mean? And they're going to basically make you grow for them. Everything trickles down to the wording. That's the whole deal. So I was trying to keep up with all this. You got to pay attention to it. And I honestly can't express this enough before I go. I do it with my kid. He's only 8, so I'm taking it very slow. Teach your children this, because I'm telling you, I talk to people all day long as a clerk, as a cashier, and when I get to the 20-year-olds, they don't have a fucking clue of the stuff I just said. They couldn't tell you any of it, what it means. And that's a scary thought. So you better make sure your children do, because they're counting on the ones I'm talking about that don't know to fuck everything up. Because why would they allow all those immigrants coming into Mexico the ability to be able to vote and told to vote blue when it comes up, right? Because of citizenship, other than to create what? To conquer it from the inside. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's definitely Cloud. Before I go, I want to say I appreciate that comment. I did see it. Anything that I say, anything that I know is self-taught for the most part, but it's lost on so many people. Mal, you talk about it often, which I love about you. Read the classic literature, Art of War. Um, these methodologies still apply today because they're counting on the fact that they took them out of schools. If you look at the curriculum, I did this one time a while back because I got bored when I was working in the laundry room. But if you look at the curriculum from the 1940s and you look at the stuff that was required to graduate, and you start looking at the curriculum from when I was supposed to graduate, and you start looking at the curriculum from currently what it is, and what you see is they took out this important chunk of American history and world history. They took out this chunk of history. They took out this chunk. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. They're basically trying to dumb down everybody to the point to where they have no clue. Mal, you got frustrated earlier whenever you said you get mad at the fact that people get mad at Hitler, but yet don't know about this person or this person, right? But the reason for that is not everybody does the stuff that we do. They don't read.
No.
It's like was it Dave Chappelle? It was one of the comedians I love. Whenever Eddie Griffin, he said, "Read. It's not illegal yet, but they're working on it."
Yeah. Well, very well said. Why not? It may as well be like to inform yourself today. People just choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating to me because I was so interested, and now it seems no one is. It'd be kind of like, if McDonald's just suddenly started failing tomorrow, no one wanted to eat it anymore. You'd wonder what happened here. That's
Right.
happened to the process of reading, and everyone's carrying a computer around in their pocket, and yet they don't even know the questions to ask it.
It
I mean, it's quite strange.
it's really scary is what it is to me because ultimately we've all joked around about it. I've seen the comments. We all joke around about it, but ultimately they're bringing in idiocracy into real life. You know what I mean? I've really seen that in play whenever, and granted, I don't like The Rock for my own personal reasons for stuff he said. I like him as far as his acting career goes, and I've never been that much of a fan of wrestling. But whenever it got to the fact that a wrestler was like, "I'm going to run for president," and I read some of the chatter around it, I was like, you know what? It almost is too late. Like they really are trying to bring this whole thing around to where only the intelligent. I think that the intelligent people that are loyal to the state and to the rural governments, they're going to be perfectly fine. You know what I mean? And the stupid people that we're talking about, or that I hear you talk about often, they're going to be perfectly fine because they're the sheep that they want. They're the worker horse. In a socialist country, if you're willing to be obedient, an obedient worker, you'll be just as long as your use don't, die off. Then you'll get shot in right there on the spot. But
For the thinking
people
person,
think for
you're
themselves.
fucked.
It's the people like us that think for themselves that get set there that George Carlin talked about in 1979, when he did that routine where he said the government is a big club and we're not in it. They don't want people. And what I was saying earlier with you and Cheryl, why I love the aspect of YouTube so much. They don't want people across the globe, especially across the globe, to sit around and discuss these issues and realize just how badly they're getting that political dick shoved up their ass every single day for the name of progression. They don't want that and they don't like it. You know what I mean? Because if that's going on, then that means they could tell their neighbors, and then their neighbors could tell their neighbors, and then holy shit, some intelligent thought might start coming forward, and then they're going to start seeing through this illusion that we've actually casted, which basically is starting to happen. You know what I mean?
I sincerely hope you're right, because I tend to be a little bit more pessimistic. I tend to think people have gone that far off the reservation that I'm no longer prepared to call them humans. I mean, call them sheeple, call them whatever you want, but they're not thinking humans, not
Right.
the way I know it to be. So I think what you're doing here, we'll keep doing it, Mike, anytime you want to do this. Basically, the only time I'll go live anymore is when you say, hey, let's do it. I don't have a reason to go live.
No, like
But
you. Oh, I like you going live. I like everybody going live. And I appreciate you doing this for me, Cold. If you're still here,
Right.
appreciate the
Thank
time that you
you.
let me respond to. I was explaining to Cold, like I told you earlier, like I realized part of my disability, like my autism, and I know your feelings about it, Mal, because me, you, and Jessica talked last night about it. But for me, it's a real deal that I've learned, and I realized by trial and error, whenever I'm doing something like this, and there's 5 or 6 people on there, I have a tendency to get to the point to where I can't hear what's going on. And
Gee,
you know,
I'm very like that, Mike. It's funny.
like,
Do you have this?
huh?
If me and you were, if me and you were sitting at a table talking, right, and there's two people at the other table talking, I can't focus on you as well. Now, that's where someone would tell me it's the distraction around, and it's no wonder I hate the supermarket so much
Right.
because all that chat, it's like static electricity or something. It's disrupting to your brain. But even if me and you were sitting at a lunch table, you're there, I'm here, and we're talking. If there's two people over there chattering,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I've got to focus a bit harder.
Just,
I'm not trying to hear them.
just wait. I mean, like I said, I really do appreciate it because once I unlock all of it, because like I said, with you leaving it up, it'll probably take me a couple hours before I get around to doing it. But when I screen record it and get it uploaded on my channel, because I appreciate you doing that, because like what I said, with them trying to take
No,
away my ability to do this and carrying over those decisions from last year, I point out people often. um,
I get it.
no, I mean, I pointed out to people often that it's BS the fact that I'm such a small number of subscribers, but yet there's something about me that YouTube decided all the bullshit you went through
We know
last year, we're
what's
just going to carry that over this year. In Facebook. Like,
that.
so I appreciate you letting me do this because it's the only way that I
It's
can.
my pleasure.
Like, and
My
for all our
pleasure.
brothers and sisters that have asked me off and on over the past year to go live, I have been trying to. Cold, I mean, I've been trying to. I've been trying to, but they basically took away my ability to do it even with StreamYard. Like StreamYard is no longer
What?
allowing me to do it unless I answer to what Google wanted me to do, which is to get more
Yeah, well,
subscribers.
fuck them.
You get what I'm
We'll
saying?
just bypass that. And we'll tell everyone here, please subscribe to Mike. Mike's Random Thoughts. Please, everyone, go subscribe to Mike.
And
Because,
granted,
we'll,
I'm not a I'm currently not even that much of a show. I'm trying to get more episodes and stuff uploaded, but it's hit and miss right now. But I am getting material up. I'm about to contact my may she rest in peace, my grandma's ex-husband, who's still like a grandpa to me. He's very well known around this community I'm at, and I'm about to contact him to try to get location places for him to take me to places around this area so I could get some good location videos. That creek I was telling you about, I'm about to upload that one here in a minute. So there's things I'm in the
oh,
process of trying to do. It's just trying to juggle everything all at the same time. But really,
yeah.
yeah, I do appreciate, because I think that's what Google is. Whenever Google and Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and the Twitter dude, Jack Dorsey, came out and said that they're going to continue shadow banning and continue censoring people. I'm a product of that as well. Although that I'm such a low number of subscribers, there's got to be a reason why they're carrying over these decisions into this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the only reason why I could think so is I'm on a yellow fucking strike list as it is. So they know if I
Well,
fuck
mate,
up,
we'll get
like,
around them. We'll get around them. Anytime you want to go live, you just message me. We'll work it out. We'll, like we did this morning for tonight, we can do that anytime you want to do it. So they're
right.
not going to stop anything. They're gonna provide you a platform to do what you want to do, just like they're meant to. And if they want to put some silly rules in place, well, we'll just get around those rules.
It's just
I mean, it's really not hard.
let's be honest. What it is the stuff I like to talk about is the stuff they're trying to take away from people talking about. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I push people's buttons sometimes because until somebody can prove me wrong with the stuff I say. Cold actually has, surprisingly, on a couple of things. I'm going to say that honestly because, you know what I mean? I consider a lot of you guys like brothers and sisters. Cold's one of them I consider like an older brother that I could vent to as well. That'd be like calm down
Of
and just
course.
like this. You know what I mean? Um, So he's corrected me on a couple things too. I'm always willing to, and I will do it on however. If somebody corrects me on something, then somebody corrects me on something. But until somebody can, I'm going to hold true to whatever I say. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah.
And that, like I was telling Cole, that's the only way I could be. I'm the same person that with my ex-wife being an immigrant in California, immigration's been a hot button topic for years, even when I was in high school. And I'm sitting in a room full of Hmong people, right? We had a family barbecue going together. And he was drinking a little bit, and I was drinking. That probably where we fucked up at, because, you know, and he was part of MO there. Anyways, he's a gangbanger or whatever. But he was like, "What about us, man? We got family that are legal immigrants, so you got a problem with that?" I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I got a fucking problem with that. What about my sister? She had a green card, so I helped her become a citizen. She did it the right way." I said, "Yeah, man, I got a fucking problem." We got into a fist fight right there on the spot because that's just how I am. You know what I mean? I've gotten fired from Jaws because of the same. I got fired from Applebee's in Thomas, California, because quote unquote the all Mexican crew felt like I was pushing them too hard, and I was replaced with one of their cousin the next day.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I've been dealing with this stuff for many years, and that's what my wife was pointing out to me. She goes, "The funny part is, most of the stuff that people are talking about right now," she goes, "I've been with you for a decade," and she goes, "And this is stuff that you've been dealing with for years." You know what I mean?
Well, I've told you that myself, Mike. As someone who's not paying a lot of attention to news lately, you'll tell me something, and then 5 days later, that's happened more than once. So that's
It,
what happens when you stay plugged in the way you do.
it's hit and miss. Like
I
I said,
just hope you don't
I
fry
be
your
honest,
brain.
the news, and I'm gonna make a light joke, but the news lately is back in the day there was a magazine called OK, and it was a tabloid, right? So now when I read the news, a lot of times when I get caught up is when I'm on a shitter. Jessica be like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, I get caught up on the shitty news real quick," and just start pulling up all the
Yeah,
BS and NPR, and, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
probably the right place for it.
well, I mean, I'm just sitting here because it's not really that hard to do, but I get it. Colt's absolutely right. If you don't have the mind state to do it and know your limitations, I want as many people out there as I can across the globe to do the same thing. If you see a news article, reshare it. Here's a tactic that a lot of people have been utilizing for the past 2 years, including myself. When you're looking at comment sections on social media, and you see, say it's a celebrity you like or anything you like, and you see somebody like make a negative comment, right? Don't engage them directly. But what they hate to do is give them the resource, post the news article right there below their fucking comment, and just leave it there. And when they engage, don't even engage them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I got hit on that list. Last year, when I was engaging that guy, here's a tactic for everybody to know. When I was engaging that guy on Facebook, and he was just going belligerent on me, right? You know, when I get on my rants and I'll write like about 5 or 6 paragraphs. Well, I was on one of them, and I was around the fifth paragraph, and I got a little notice from Facebook, and I go to send the message I replied back to, and it was unavailable. Like I couldn't do it. Well, then I looked at the message, and the guy reported me for terrorism last year
For terrorism.
because he couldn't win the argument.
So he reports you as a
Yes,
terrorist.
I was cleared of it. My account was actually shut down for around an hour. They reopened it, and they launched an investigation, and then they reopened it while they were doing an investigation. They left the yellow mark on my account still to this day. That's when they decided to carry over. They said that they investigated it, and although I wasn't wrong, they do not agree with my terminology that I used against him, and it violates
Well,
community.
I'll just interrupt now to say our friend Cold Bodies, these great investigators, come to the conclusion that he was 8 years old.
Right.
They decided Cold was a mine. Now, how did they fucking come to that conclusion, Mike? These are some investigators.
Right.
Cold's an 8-year-old, is he? How did anyone come to that conclusion? He's not an 8-year-old. You
Exactly.
know, I don't even understand it. How about you've concluded he's a minor? You're going to take away his YouTube channel? How about here he is? No, he's not a minor. You've got it wrong. What's wrong with that? It's
Exactly.
crazy. Cold's a minor. Do you believe what you're hearing? Oh, and fucking some investigation, Cold. I mean, isn't it right? I can do a better investigation from 10,000 miles away. Here, I'll correct their mistake. He's not an 8-year-old. He's not a minor. And I have no access to his information. I have no, all I've done is look and speak to the man, and I can assure you he's not 8.
Right.
And yet these investigators concluded he was, and that you're a terrorist.
Right. Exactly. No, they concluded I wasn't.
Oh, thank goodness.
They said that my account's still in warning. But my point was saying it was their tactic to shut down people they don't like. That's a tactic. That was the whole
Yep.
reason why I said it. You get what I'm saying? What happened to Cold?
Yep.
That was a tactic. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's literally what it is. We're talking about tactics at this point. Oh.
Hi. Hello. Good morning.
See, that's my little angel that I care about. That's the reason why I do what I do.
Hi.
They're the reason why when people say, why do you do what you do? Why do you put up with it? It's because I care about their future.
Well, and you've got to, mate. It's a shame more people don't have the same attitude because they're the ones that are going to have to inherit it. Oh, wait, Dana, you needs a link here. Just a sec. Copy, paste.
Shut that.
There we go.
But I'm about to have to cut this short because I got to get their day going real quick, guys. But I got to jump off of here and do the whole dad thing real quick. Stop messing with that.
No.
Takes, 3-year-olds, man. So it takes them 2 seconds. And they're already over everything they can get their hands on, you know?
They're quick.
I got 2 of them. They're twins. So I got one going to one table, the other. You know what I mean?
That's
hear them complaining. They're already complaining. They're like, food, daddy, food.
I'll let you get to it, Mike. I'll kill this stream so you can save it. We don't go on too long. I'll kill it once we're done.
Do what you did last time and save it. And then here in a little bit when my wife gets up, I'll do what I normally do. And I'll let you know when I finish that.
No.
And that
Cool,
way my channel, because this one is actually really good. But if y'all want to know, that's the reason I'm so passionate about everything I talk about. It's the reason why I keep doing what I'm doing. It's the reason why I can't stop doing what I'm doing. It's because of the children. It's because I care about the kids. The way some of us care about animals.
You want to be on camera, huh?
Look at that one, Marty.
Exactly. It's the children.
Oh, yeah. He decided to get frisky just now.
He's
all right.
Beautiful, Dane. He
really
is. All right, get down, buddy. Come on, get down. Get down.
Right, hello.
So, hey, good morning, guys. Good chat.
Right.
There's a guy with a normal voice. He doesn't sound funny like me, does he? I sound a bit weird. Strange voice. G'day, mate.
All right.
But that's the reason why we got to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we got to inform the generations, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these 18 and 20-year-olds that don't have a clue, they got to be clued in.
No, and that's just it. And we're not seeing that, Dana, enough in our own country.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. It is scary.
Any one of these people, any one of us, we got grandkids and we have kids. I don't have grandkids, but you know what I mean? Some of us got kids and we got grandkids, right? I've heard people we know complain about their own kids. You know what I mean? But my question is this: when you're complaining about your kids, are you going around and actually reminding the grandkids?
Well,
because that's where the ticket is.
Really.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how detrimental this is what you're seeing, what we've heard about over the past 2 hours. If people like myself don't get it through these children's heads, this poison that we're seeing the youth go through is going to happen to them. You know what I mean? If not, because what's scary to me is bold face and dead eye looking at me in the eye. These kids nowadays are telling me we don't want to get married. That's a white supremacist thought. We don't want to have children. That's a white supremacist thought. When did having kids become a supremacy thing?
White.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't answer it. I don't understand.
I
I
thought
don't
everyone
know why someone would
on and get sweaty once in a while. I didn't know it was just that white people going around doing it. You
really,
know?
Mike. I mean, really, we have plenty of other breed of people on the planet, don't we? I don't get how someone comes to that conclusion. It's ridiculous.
It is. It is. I mean, it really is, and that's the whole premises of it all. Is it's getting ridiculous. You know what I mean? I refuse to let my kids view me as anything else other than what I am. Those two kids I showed you, those are my children. I'm the only dad they've ever known. We've had them since they came home from the hospital. But guess what? They're full-blooded Mexican. The mother is tied into the cartels and is the only person I've ever been known that's been ordered by the state of Oklahoma to have her tubes tied. She's
Wow.
lost custody of all 20 of her other kids. Heroin addict. Hey, baby.
Well, mate, I can't say that I think that's a bad idea. We had an example in this country once of two, they were meth heads.
Mm-hmm.
The bloke and his girl sitting there pregnant, and that they were on TV saying, hey, she's pregnant with her seventh child. The previous six have been removed from like
Yeah.
child services, come and taken them, and now she's pregnant with her seventh. What's society going to do to prevent this child being taken from her? Can we get some donations here, please? Well, I would have preferred, rather than give her donations, tie her tubes. This irresponsible person can't be trusted not to get herself pregnant. And six times we've had to take her children away. And when she's pregnant with their seventh one, she's got the gall to ask, can you
I,
give me some money? Like,
it's sad because we know the parents and we know the family. We were asked by the family to do it. And I talked to the mom myself. And literally at the time I was a junior sous chef and she was into cooking. And I showed her my resume and I said, the stuff I'm learning how to do, this is Food Network style cutting techniques and stuff. I mean, you guys seen some of the stuff I posted a couple years back when I was doing it, but anybody can learn how to do this. If you got a nice skill set and you got passion, it's not hard to learn how to do it. You just got to have the ambition to do it. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I'm an ex-addict. At one point, I weighed 118 pounds soaking wet and was a walking skeleton. You know what I mean? I did so much methamphetamine whenever I quit. I didn't have a rehab, but I did so much methamphetamine that whenever my body was going through withdrawals, I would actually visibly start shaking. My grandma, I was living at my grandma's house at the time, didn't know what to do. And my cousin would give me a blunt, but I would start literally shaking and convulsing on the ground because my body didn't have this feed in the system. That's how much of an addict I was at one point.
Wow.
I'm talking about the days before you heard what meth was. It looked like somebody broke a car window. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what that feeling's like. I know what the feeling's like to hold the glass pipe and say, I'm not doing this no more. Crush it with your foot just to go to the gas station and grab another fucking tube and have your homeboy blow it up. I know what that feeling's like. You know what I mean? And that's another reason why I do the stuff I do. Is because the stuff I know about, yeah, it might be out there. It might be unorthodox. Even with my Christian aspect of what I'm going into, Mal, like I've told you numerous times. If I ever went that route, my style of preaching wouldn't be to reach the average person. It's to reach the people like us. It's to reach the people that are addicts.
that need.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
what? Your bye-bye's in there? Okay. But that's the whole thing. That's the whole premises of it. I mean, I wish I had longer, but especially where it's going to, because it's something I care about. But that's a lot of the reasons why I do what I do. It has to do with the kids. It has to do with the shit I've seen. Cool. I mean, I've seen a girl that was high on methamphetamine, and my ex, although her uncle was an Aryan Brotherhood member, this guy that lived behind that had a lab was a police informant. We found out later, but at the time we didn't know. Was raping the girl's kid. My ex-girlfriend was babysitting.
Jesus Christ.
And one day, me and her uncle were smoking because we and him had to have a fist fight. Dana, you might find it funny. When I first met the guy, he kept evil staring me. I was smoking with her. This is how addicts are, by the way. I was smoking with her mom, her stepdad, and her dad. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, this guy was evil staring me. And I looked at him and I said, what the fuck's your issue? Because I was like 19. So I was full of piss and vinegar still, you know what I mean? And he goes, I don't believe in interracial fucking marriage. And I said, what the fuck race do you think I am, you motherfucker? And he goes, I ain't full-blooded motherfucker, and that's all that count. And we went out in the middle of the fucking yard. But because he showed me an AB, he had the swastika and Aryan Brotherhood logo and all that. Well, he took off his shirt, you know. He ended up liking me after I stood up to him, ironically. And one day we're smoking, and she came back crying, and I said, "What's wrong with you?" And she said that the boy that she was babysitting said his butt kept hurting, and he opened up the door. I remember hearing Troy tell me, "Look, you're my niece's boyfriend. You ain't doing shit. Just stay here. You know how that goes." So I'm by the fence, lookout, and he's pounding on the door. And the dude answered the door and goes, "This is New Escher or something like that." Said his gang set, right? And I remember Troy looked at him and said, "I don't give a fuck what the fuck you are." Picked up a big ass fucking rock and just pounded in the side of his fucking head, get the blood going everywhere. You know what I mean? Just over and over and over again. So you got to understand. You got to understand, man. Like that was a lab I'm talking about. I used to sit in that building, not even knowing this about the guy. And I was sitting there waiting for him to cook a backpack's worth of meth for me to go drop off. Okay, that's a whole backpack's worth. That's over a pound. I was a middle selling. I was no joke. Like when it came down to being a middle person, even with coke. How the fuck do you think I attracted Staten LeVay? Even my coke days was. I'm not bragging.
Of course.
I'm not bragging.
No. Nothing to be proud of, but I get it. I get it.
I'm just saying, if there's one world I know about very intimately, it's drugs and sexual perversion.
Well, Mike, it probably gives you some bafflement when you manage to turn it round for yourself, and then you look at other people that can't or don't want to. It must do your head in because you've been there and done it and come back out the other side. To look at people that get caught up in it, it must be more baffling for you than me because you managed to turn it around. So
it gets frustrating, but like my wife said, the hardest realization for me to have was you have to realize that not everybody has the strengths and the abilities that you have. You know what I mean? And that's the hardest part of it because you can't approach somebody with the same thing the same way that you were approached because not everybody has the same story as what you have, and not everybody's gone through the same shit. Not everybody for the same fucking reason. You know what I mean? So how the fuck are you coming at somebody the wrong way going to help them? You know what I mean? So that's the whole premises of that one. If you're gonna understand it, you got to understand it instantly, and that's the level that I was. I wasn't like it was like I was selling it at my work, using it. At one point, I was working overnight at Denny's in Marysville as an overnight dishwasher, and I was selling. I would like somebody would come in because I was on the streets at the time, and somebody would come in and be like, "Yo, Mike, my boy said, can you line him up with this?" And I'm like, "What time is he gonna be here?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, tell him to go do the normal routine." And the normal routine was I had it set up to where because I was a dishwasher, I would leave it in a certain location in the bathroom, and they would leave me the money in a certain location, and then I would go pick that up. Which I developed that method in high school when I used to sell my ADHD medication to the jocks because we had a gang patrol at my high school. So to get around it, I befriended a guy that was working in the school office, and he was picked on a lot. You know what I mean? They called him Big Head and all this other stuff. And I befriended him. He would give me heads up on when they were going to do police searches on our lockers and search us and get us pulled out as a result. He'd be like, "Hey, just so you know, they were talking to the vice president. They're about to come guys at this time and start pulling you guys out of class." So I would go back to the school wherever I was at and go hide it in between the liners of the trash cans or whatever. And in the process, I got ball. I don't know what it is about me back in the day with pushing the buttons the best I can. I went and crossed from the police substation at the school on purpose. And the jocks that wanted my medication, I would tell them, "Okay, look, today I didn't want milk. So you're going to put the money in the milk container. I want you to put this rubber glue across it so it looks like it's sealed." You know what I mean? I'm going to do the same thing with the medication, only I'm going to have orange juice. You just come up to the bench. I'm going to lead you through it. And then they would be like wherever, you know, and he would come up to me right in front of him sometimes. He'd come up to me like, "Man, I was out there, bro, and fucking, wouldn't you fucking know it? I don't even fucking like chocolate milk. I ain't trying to fucking work out and have this shit in my mouth." And I'm like, all right, man, hey, out, I got this juice. Let me get the milk. I'll grab that from you real quick. So I've always thought
Job
like
done.
that. You know what I'm saying? I've always, for some fucking reason, I've always, no matter what I did in my life, good or bad, I've always thought like 2, 3, 4, 5 outcome steps ahead. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. Knock on wood. That's probably why I never got locked up, because I know at one point they showed me my face on their most wanted watch list. Marysville, California's Narcotics Task Force. I was number 2 on their most wanted watch list. You know what I mean? When they arrested me, they set me up. They used another homeless guy named Twister, and he was just a tweaker guy, you know. And the Albertsons, by the rescue mission. Oh, it used to be a rescue mission there. I think they tore it down. There used to be a rescue mission there right behind Pine Street. And he said one morning, I was up for a while. He was up for a while, you know, and he came by the house and he was like, I can't go into the